that New Jersey carjacking case. A widow taking the stand, testifying about the night her husband was killed in a mall parking lot 3 years ago, coming face to face with one of the suspects, and now pushing for better security. ABC's Gio Benitez is here with the heartbreaking story. Gio, good morning.
Amy, good morning to you. She describes every detail from that fateful day, and she may have to repeat those memories another 3 times as all 4 men stand trial. This is just the beginning. It was the Holiday Mall shooting that shocked the country. 30-year-old lawyer Dustin Friedland shot dead during a terrifying carjacking right in front of his wife, Jamie. This morning, the first of 4 suspects accused of Friedland's horrific 2013 murder on trial.
What had been a good day became the worst day of Jamie's life and the last day of Dustin Friedland's life.
Just 10 days before Christmas, the Friedlands went to the upscale Short Hills Mall in New Jersey for some shopping and dinner to celebrate their anniversary. When they got back to their Range Rover, she says 2 men confronted Dustin.
I saw him put the gun to Dustin's head, and I heard bang, bang, shh, and then the window shattered of the car.
Jamie says she all but froze in the terrifying chaos.
You don't know what to do in these situations. It was so fast. And he opens the car door, he leans in, he points the gun at my head, and he said, "Get out of the car."
The carjackers flee, but the horror is prolonged when she says it took an ambulance nearly 30 minutes to arrive after the first 911 call.
They called an ambulance in half an hour ago. Where is he? They're at the mall. They're trying to get to you, ma'am.
I was screaming, "Stay with me, stay with me." Finally, an ambulance showed up, but not really, because they couldn't get the ambulance into the parking deck. And he's literally bleeding out on the ground.
Dustin later died at the hospital. As the criminal case proceeds, Jamie says she also wants the mall's owners held accountable, filing a civil suit claiming they didn't provide adequate security.
If you invite the public to shop at your mall, you better make sure it's safe. This mall didn't, and they need to step up to the plate and take responsibility.
And meanwhile, this morning, all 4 suspects have pleaded not guilty. They're all facing murder charges. And on that civil suit, the mall's lawyer says he can't comment on pending litigation.
All right, thank you, Gio. And let's bring in ABC's News Chief Legal Analyst Dan Abram. And Jan, we saw the victim's wife, Jamie Friedland's emotional testimony. Why was it so important to have her testify so early in this case?
Because I think it's really important in this case to frame what it's all about. Meaning, this isn't the person who pulled the trigger who's on trial here. This is one of the 4 defendants. The other 3 will be tried separately. So this is the person who was effectively an accomplice, the getaway driver. And I think in those kinds of cases, it's even more important to remind the jurors what a horrible case this is about. So maybe in their heads, they don't start thinking, well, you know, he was just the getaway driver. He wasn't as culpable. Prosecutors would say he's just as culpable as the other 3.
And she also filed a civil case against the mall, saying it didn't provide adequate security. And does she have a strong case with that? And what about her claims about the first responders not being there? It took them over 30 minutes.
Right. So there's a number of claims here. First, there's a claim against the mall, which is both with regard to security at the mall and also the way that the mall was almost structured, that they say made it really hard for the first responders to even get there once they arrived, to even get access to where they were at. And then there's the claim against the first responders. Look, the claims are going to be about negligence, right? It's going to be a tougher claim probably against the first responders. I mean, first responders sometimes aren't able to get there on time, so you'll have to be able to show that they didn't show a reasonable duty of care in a case like that. But you've got a number of different civil lawsuits here, and again, you're going to have to be able to show not just that this happened, but that it was their fault that it happened, that they didn't show the care that is typically expected, both in terms of the mall and the emergency response.
And she mentioned not knowing what to do in the case of a carjacking. I don't think any of us may know what to do in case of a carjacking, but do the experts give any tips?
Yeah, there are a number, and Gio helped me out with these in terms of thinking about how you go about looking at a situation like this. And every day, it's about approaching the car from the front or the back so you can see all sides. It's about knowing your surroundings. It's about staying off your cell phone. Make sure you park in a well-lit area. Have the keys in your hand. These are all sort of very basic tips, but what they all come down to is think and know your surroundings.
All right. Thank you, Dan.